Hi, Brian from Sipkins Nurseries here, and I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to seed starting. And there's a lot of people that are asking questions about when they're supposed to start things, and especially last year, a lot of people couldn't get their seeds on time. So I wanted to give a brief introduction. And what we've done is we've put together this brief and basic seeding schedule to give you some guidelines on when to get started and where to start plants. And this is just a starter sheet. This is a good guideline. So for example, to get started with, let's call it tomatoes, okay? So the earliest you could successfully start tomatoes inside for transplanting outdoors is the end of February, early March. If you got your seed pack at home today and you thought, oh, I'm gonna get them done, you'll probably find that your seedlings get too tall and too thin that when you go to plant them outside, they'll break off or they'll be so weak that they don't get started right away. So that's the same thing that we do in our greenhouses, is we carefully schedule plants so that they are sized up and ready to transplant when the weather outside is appropriate. So for tomatoes, because they really don't tolerate much frost, we would get started in late February or early March. And that will give us a nice transplant for the middle to late May, when the soil temperatures outside have warmed up enough that you will be able to get them planted and keep them growing. To actually go and start seeds outdoors of tomatoes is actually very difficult because of the number of days it takes to reach harvest. Most people like to brag about their first tomato from their own garden. And this variety here is the Celebrity Tomato. And on the back of the seed packet, it will say days to harvest, in which case this is 70 days to harvest. So if you start outside the 1st of June, you got all of June, all of July, most of August, before you will get to the point that your tomatoes will start to produce ripe fruit. And most people are running out of patience at that time of year. So that's the advantage of starting with a transplant. So whether you start it yourself indoors or whether you pick up a transplant here in the greenhouse come May, keep in mind that when you start will also make a difference on when you finish. And when you get your seed packets home, take the time to read through the back of the package, and it will give you some really good guidelines on how to seed, when to start it, how large the plants are going to get in a good growing season, so that you have better chance of success. Because that's what growing vegetables and plants is all about, is the finished product.